It's pretty special. Networking, meeting people.
I'm a member of many networking, so surround yourself by people who are doing more than you're doing, right?
You have to think about that. Who are the people that they know they could introduce me to?
Yeah, and
That's where it's all at.
magic of referral and affiliate marketing, right?
HighLevel as a SaaS product. You're not in the business of selling SaaS. You're in the business of adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. Built a great relationship.
Is that your white label that you just set up an affiliate and then he's promoting your version? Or
He just introduced them to us. We've got a contractual agreement and a gentleman's handshake at the same time.
sometimes you don't really need to reinvent the wheel?
And that really leans into what we're talking about, these updates from the upgrades, right?
I mean, that sounds a bit douche, but also intriguing. Like, why would you call yourself that?
It's okay to shout about yourself without having arrogance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on a HighLevel Experience podcast. Our guest today is somebody I met at the SaaSpreneur event in Sydney in May 2025. And even then, he stood out as somebody who was really good at building relationships, connecting people, and thinking bigger than just selling pieces of software. Since then, he's gone all in on the HighLevel world. In 2025, he traveled around in the globe to be at all the major HighLevel events: Australia, Dubai, London, Dallas. Not just to learn, but to build real relationships and partnerships with other agency owners and SaaSpreneurs. He's also got a serious business background outside of HighLevel. He's built and scaled real businesses, spent time in Dubai, helps business owners with Dubai company setup, and now works with service-based businesses to implement CRM systems, AI, WhatsApp marketing, voice AI, and automation in a way that actually helps create more sales conversations. All that's happening in the UK. And that's what I'm really looking forward to unpacking today, talking about new markets, talking about what's working for him. At the end of the day, we're all fellow high-levelers and always keen to learn from one another. So we'll dive into all that, but we'll not just talk about tech, but the business lessons behind it as well, the relationship building side of the HighLevel community, and what's actually working right now when it comes to helping businesses follow up better, book more calls, and stop letting opportunities slip through the cracks. So please welcome to the show, Kalvin J. Morris.
The introduction. Thanks, Vit. Good to see you again, and really excited to be on the show. And you're right, we met in Sydney, and just touching on that networking, just to get into it straight away, is I've kind of learned over the years about networking and surrounding yourself with the right people. And when I talk to new clients now, somebody said to me the other day, what qualifies you to build our system for us? Mm-hmm. And I say to them, look, I'm literally the only person in the world that went to Sydney, went to Dubai, went to London, went to Texas last year. It's the only one that done it. But the reason I did it is I met all of the highest performers in the HighLevel from each of the regions who are actually all doing some really different stuff, and picked out the best of the best and then implemented it into what we do. So you basically got the best of what everyone's doing globally. And that's normally enough to get people over the line, let's say. But that networking thing is key, of course. You've got to, as kind of geeks in a way, we can be introverts, but we need to be extroverts as well to do that networking thing. So I remember we went to the Dubai one, and there was like so many people in a small space. It was really hard to speak to everybody. I was like, how do I improve on that? So I went back, jumped into my HighLevel account, created a QR code, put it on my phone. I was like, right, I'm going to get more contacts in Sydney. So I went to Sydney, and I got, double the amount of contacts in the same amount of time. And I was like, okay, cool. How do I double down on that now? So then when I went to London, I did the same thing with a QR code on my phone and did it with free stuff. So 4 of us went and we scanned everybody and basically filled our one of our pipelines, potential partnership pipeline, with agency owners from around the world. It led on to people introducing us to people and stuff as well. And then we went to the big one, right? We went to Level Up and all geared up, ready to go. And it was quite different. With the SaaS event, you go into the room, everyone leaves at the same time, and everyone's in a small environment. It's so much bigger at Level Up. I just ended up enjoying myself and not doing as much networking as I probably could have. But it was pretty awesome, really good experience. And I think anyone that's already in the HighLevel world knows by now that it's just full of cool people, right? It's like, there's no judgment, people. Doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what your level's at. It doesn't matter if you're right at the beginning or some of these people who are high flying. Everyone's treated the same. Everyone respects everybody. And there's no stupid questions you could ask, right? Because the community is there. I mean, we're both in various WhatsApp groups globally with some of these really high performing people. And of course, ourselves and many other people around us are doing some really cool stuff. So, it's a great place to be. And and it's great to be here as well.
Yeah, once again, thank you and welcome to the show, mate. You dived straight into it. It's pretty special. Networking, meeting people, like just in general, like for myself, like just being in business for the last, 16 years or something. I've always been a fan of just like meeting new people. Like back in Sydney, I had my fitness business, but I jumped into BNI, attended some of those breakfasts, and you talk to people and you might not think of it much initially. There's lawyers and there's people from different trades. Like they're not really my target. Well, that's what I thought anyway. But then you go there, something special happens. Like you talk to them, there's the human element, like real time, like it's physical, like it's not behind the facade or behind the website. And like we're real people, right? So you just talk to them, you get to meet them, you can hear the tone of voice. It just helps connect. I'm a big fan. And it's always been a great strategy. Any new town or place where I lived, whether it was back in Canberra, now in Czech Republic or back in Sydney, just looking at different business networking organizations or local chamber of commerce, I think it's a brilliant type of marketing strategy and way to, generate referral partners. Oftentimes, clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You just reminded me of something that happened very recently. So I'm a member of many networkings. I'm a member of BNI. It's a bit what we would call Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. But so I went to my local BNI. A gentleman joined from the neighbouring county to us because they closed down their chapter. And he introduced this guy. He said, you need to meet this guy called Phil. He's into AI. I don't know what he does, but you just need to meet him. So he introduced me to this guy, Phil. Get put in Phil's WhatsApp group. Me and Phil have a couple of Zooms. And this comes from what I was trying to talk about earlier about try and network and figure out who are the high performers in the room. Surround yourself by people who are doing more than you're doing, right? You and Phil have a good chat and he's like, what you're doing is amazing. And then he said, I know this guy, Ryan, right? He's running this event. There's an opportunity to speak there. Would you be interested in speaking? Yeah, man, of course. So I drive a couple of hours. This is probably a month ago. I drive a couple of hours. I go to this event. The event's fairly small, maybe 20 business owners in the room. They're all different people. And the event is speakers talking about, so Phil specializes in what we would call in our world reputation management reviews. Ryan owns a marketing agency, and then I'm CRM AI. And there was another lady who does like a call answering service. So we all spoke and talked about how that all fits into your business. So I have my QR code up on my slides and I'm like, cool, if you want the slides, let me know. They want my slides, they're interested in my product, right? So a few people scan it. We actually closed a couple of deals out of that. What's interesting, Ryan, the guy running it, for where he's at, very young guy, 20s. Me and Ryan are chatting and he was like, that was really good. Came off stage and we're talking. And so let's have a chat. Anyway, fast forward, I went to Ryan's office last Friday after some very much backwards and forwards and some Zooms. He has 80 high profile clients they're doing paid ads for, in some cases up to 100,000 a month spend. And some cases like 1,000 spend and everything in between. And we've obviously just cut a deal and I was like, just introduce me to all your clients. I'll put you on a private affiliate through me, through my HighLevel, and I'll introduce you to some of my clients. So I've introduced him to 5 clients since Friday, and he's now introducing me to his.
Wow.
We have the clients, right? So as a
It just happened.
I literally had the meeting with him on Friday, so like last week. So as I explained it, he is top of funnel, right? So he is marketing, making noise, social media, get people to come into your funnel, fill in a form, book a meeting, whatever it might be. Where marketing agencies as a whole don't fail but fail is some clients go, what, the contact people? I thought they would just buy from me. And as silly as that may sound to some more experienced people, if you don't know, right? You just think people are going to buy. You don't realize there's this whole sales process and pipelines and automation and ring and all of that stuff. So as I explained to him, I said, you're top of funnel and you're pulling through all these leads. We're the whole chunk of the middle and the product out the back of both of our businesses. It's more money for the client. And he was just like, love it. So we've just done an affiliate agreement between us and we're already referring clients. The reason I mentioned that came from another third party. I went through 3 people to get there, but he happened to be at my BNI meeting. So you can't think that, oh, I'm just in a meeting, there's only 4 people in this room, or there's only 6 people in this room.
Exactly. You have to think about that. Who are the people that they know they could introduce me to?
Yeah, and
That's where it's all at.
magic of referral and affiliate marketing, right?
Yep. Now, on the topic of affiliate, I'm going to share a little tactic that I did back in my first level up, which was 3 years ago, that you guys listening might utilize. It's a pretty straightforward one. So what I did is, it was 3-4 years ago. It was a while back. At the time, I was building a lot of snapshots, and I had a bit of traction happening with other agencies licensing my snapshots. And here I was putting down the payment for the VIP ticket to go to level up, and it's not cheap. Like, even like from Australia, the flights, the accommodation, the ticket, like it's a bit of an outlay. So I was like, I'll definitely learn by going there. It'll be cool to hang out for sure, learn what others are doing, and obviously the speakers and all that. There's tremendous amount of value just in that in itself. But I was thinking, like, how can I make that a break-even thing, like the whole cost of going there? So it's like, what if, because the snapshots that I did, like, people came to me that knew about me, but, you know, at the event, I thought there'd be a lot of people who don't know me or who don't know what I do. But I'm going to be talking to them, and if there is an interest, they might want to have a conversation about what I've done, or they might really love my stuff, but they might not be a buyer, but they might love my stuff. This is like, what if I did a little affiliate thing, like a bit of a guerrilla marketing? So what I did is I got QR codes. I did 20, just 20. It wasn't a huge sample. I had 20 QR codes. Each were unique, and I just had them printed on these little round stickers. Before I went to the event, I've created a dummy contacts in my CRM, like affiliate 1, affiliate 2, affiliate 3. And I've signed up all of those affiliates to the campaign, and the campaign, the affiliate link was attributed to the QR code. So it was all ready to go. And then I just had a simple form on my phone. So when I spoke to somebody and like we broke the ice, we broke the bread type of thing and talk about, and it's a full week event. Right, guys? So if you've never been to Level Up, just picture this. Like, it's a full week event, all day, speakers, networking. But obviously at night, we all hit the bar, get on the beach, having a drink, chilling, talking. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the business opportunities oftentimes get created. And also, you build tremendous amount of rapport. So by the end of the whole week, you're like mates with a bunch of people. So think about that. So like, I was at the bar talking to a bunch of people, talking about what they do, what I do. And then I just naturally in the conversation, because I didn't want it to be pushy or anything. It was just, I just needed to be organic. But hey, so what do you do? And like, I just start talking about snapshots and oh, that's cool. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, so wait, by the way, I know it's maybe far-fetched, but hey, I made these QR codes. I don't know if you'd be keen, but if you just want to stick it on your t-shirt for the next 3 days while we're here, anybody that scans it, because now that obviously you said that you're excited about what I built, you're pretty impressed. So if you talk to anybody else, because remember, you're not just talking to somebody else, but everybody else is talking to somebody else. So it's like a beehive, right? Beehive. Think about the beehive, right? So if you get one bee to get excited about your product and they just go around talking to everybody else. Hey, yeah, I just met, you need to speak to Vito. I just spoke to that guy. Oh, by the way, like,
Nice.
just scan this. Have a look at this stuff. Because we're all there, high levelers. We're all there to learn. All there to learn about cool add-ons from vendors and each other. We have complementary services. I know for you, it was pretty impressive how you were lining up meetings when I was there at SaaSpreneur in Sydney. You were literally in between the breakouts. We're going to meet you at 3. We're going to sit down and have a quick meeting, grab a coffee. And you were doing it. I saw you were doing it. I was pretty impressed. Very structured. And lining up those relationships, potential fulfillment partners, right? I think that was the big thing back then. I've got market Dubai, I've got market UK, I know how to tap in, and I'm looking for fulfillment partners. I know that you can maybe build me a snapshot. So all that's happening. And why am I sharing this is, while these guys are listening, this is about just thinking outside the box a little bit. It's not just high level, sign up, resell to businesses. Your market is not just local businesses. Your market can also be other high levelers. There's so much of it. It's really just being creative and providing value, like being genuine. Absolutely. There is definitely a market.
Yeah.
You find it as well, Kalvin?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if nobody takes anything else away from this podcast, if they watch it, just literally mimic what Vit just said. That's just awesome. That's just such good marketing, such clever marketing. And as you were saying, is you can view business, and it's a very unique bubble of people, isn't it? And what HighLevel have done. I've never come across another business where so many of you can be doing the same thing, but you're not competitive because there's so much work out there. And if you see it, don't ever look at somebody that's ahead of you as a threat. In any way, see it as an advantage, right? Because they've already trod the road that you're about to go on. When I went to level up, I saw Dakota Roof and he was talking, and he did this really cool thing. It's the end of the play, right? So he laid out this thing, right?
Just hang on a minute. Just guys, anytime there's something to show, I know this is a podcast. You're probably listening to this right now on Spotify. Like, oh, damn it, I'm not going to see it. Don't worry. We have a YouTube channel. Just head over to our website, HighLevelExperience.com. You'll see a link for our socials. Just click on the YouTube link and you'll see this video on YouTube channel. So anytime we're sharing anything like that on our episode, I just want to highlight that because there might be some extra value of going to our YouTube. Might as well, if you're there, would appreciate if you give it a subscribe and all that. Yes, but more importantly, so that you can see what we're sharing, because oftentimes we do screen sharing. Calv's about to share something. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll describe it as well because you said that. So first, right, so there's this little HighLevel coin, okay?
Nice.
So on Dakota's talk, he gave this out, right? And it says his company on the back, agency. For HighLevel, which obviously I highly recommend.
Is it like a casino thing? Casino coin thing? Like a token?
I think they might kick you out of the Mirage in Vegas if you try and put that on the table. But it's like, it's kind of a bit the size of a chip, right? It's like a solid metal coin, right? And it says around the edge, the road to 100. The SaaSpreneur, the road to your first 100 clients, right? And he was talking the road to 100, right? And I logged that. That was like a memento that I took away. And do you know how powerful that is? Because I now work with Dakota. He's been doing some, he's further than I am, right? He's been doing it a long time. He's been doing some consultancy with me. I'm now his client in terms of I use his services. We built a relationship. But because I had that thing and it was so cool, it's like a metal coin. So for those who are listening on Spotify or similar, it's like a metal coin the size of a casino chip. It's really high quality. It's got a HighLevel logo on one side. It's got his company on the other. And it's kind of like that thing you're supposed to keep with you when you have those real tough days. And then you look down and go, I'm on my way to my first 100 clients.
I like it.
Yeah. Awesome piece of marketing, yeah? Those type of things are all over the HighLevel world, and there's so much you can learn from people. And like, why would you tread a road that wasn't trod before? Right? When somebody else has cleared the path for you and gone, this is the way to awesomeness, helping people. Oh, by the way, making a bunch of money while you're doing it. Win-win. Everyone's winning. And there's so much of that in this community that it's amazing. And coming back to what you were just saying earlier about one of the things that you do, you have these kind of snapshots and you can go on and you don't have to do the work. You can still fully customize what Vit supplies. And that was my interest when we met. And I was like, awesome, we don't have to launch all this stuff. And then we went in, not in a different direction, but when we got back, and then I was in Dubai and I moved back to the UK also. So we've had a similar experience with that kind of thing. And then we went into this real custom bespoke build stuff. And it was awesome with big bills up front. And we were like, yeah, man, all this money's coming in the bank. And then I was like, okay, we've got to board this stuff now. So those projects that were high feed at the beginning, for me, in my experience, those projects ran for 3 months, and then you could only do a certain amount of projects. So by the time you broke it down, you might think that's 6, 8, 10,000 pounds, dollars, euros, whatever it might be. But actually, you've got to think from a business point of view, what's the longevity of that? How many can we manage as a team? How complex are they? And what's the possibility of scope creep? And we went through a very tough time with scope creep of 20 projects, and it was horrible. I'll be honest, it was horrible. And then we took a step back and I started looking what other people are doing in the HighLevel world. And then we offer 5 core products now with our offer. We do super cheap small business startup with a reasonable subscription. And then we do everything to not quite to that level, but it scales in price according to the business, the size, the requirement, how much work we're going to do, but also how much support they need afterwards. So the monthly fee depends on how often they're going to contact us. And we put a whole infrastructure in place around the support. My philosophy now is I want Amazon, their goal as a company was #1 support in the world for everything. Yeah, that is our objective, our kind of statement, best support without a shadow of a doubt, because then we can't get anything wrong. And we've really focused and invested on that, and that really helped. Anyone that's listening, if you've heard of HighLevel, you're thinking of HighLevel, you know it, or you're one of those people and you're in a place where we were, where you're struggling a bit, definitely focus on that support side and just understand your niche and who you're serving, and just make sure that support function's in place and don't overpromise. And that's probably kind of a good bit of advice from the learning that I went through. And now we're scaling in the right direction, comfortable and contributing.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Vit sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, stand out from the pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/Vit or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. gohighlevel.com/Vit or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results. You found the right model. Let's stay on this topic for a little bit. That's a really good one because the scope create the development of custom stuff, and then on the back end, on the flip side of it, having something that's heavily productized, lower ticket offer, lot more scalable. There's benefit in both. I'm kind of a fan of doing the heavily productized intro offers more scalable on the front end.
Yeah,
because that's like the safety net, and it's scalable. But I'm also a fan of doing custom projects for clients from every now and then, because that's what, for me, personally, I'm very like system-oriented guy. I like the thought process of looking at someone's business and the nuances of the business, the industry they're in general, and then also some unique ways of how their sales process works and the customer buyer journey works, and like all those touch points, and then breaking it down, mapping it out, and then having a conversation with somebody in an industry that I haven't served with, and having that opportunity even to have that conversation is stimulating just intellectually.
Yeah.
But then also because I know HighLevel as a product so well over the last 6 years been using it, I can then, once I get an understanding of their business, I can then very quickly start to visualize in my head like how I would piece it together. And this I had a project last year, it was year before. That was that was last year, sorry. And we were approached by a company to build them a snapshot for a very specific industry, water treatment industry, and build them a snapshot. And that was a 25K job. And then they wanted us to become a fulfillment partner. There was some learning curves in there, which I've covered on earlier episodes, but this is an interesting model because, like you said, right, high ticket. But I think the secret sauce of that one is if you do that for a business, make sure that you lock down an opportunity to resell that to other businesses in that industry. Even if you shave the cost down by 20%, make it cheaper for the client.
Yeah.
But in exchange, have that say, look, I'm building it for you, but you're not going to get an exclusive IP on that one. We want to use it and help other businesses in your exact niche. Would that be okay? Obviously, we'll do our best to not sell it to a competitor nearby, but might be an interesting thought because when we built that thing, that was an agency that literally are known. They're looking after that industry across the whole US. So that was a massive opportunity to them. There's always going to be customizations a little bit, but the mechanics are usually the same. It's just the branding, the messaging.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say when you were talking, what I realized over the years of selling SaaS is, and this is more of a message to some of you guys that are maybe just starting out and selling HighLevel as a SaaS product, you're not in the business of selling SaaS. You're in the business of adoption. You're in the business of results, customer support and adoption. Always think about that when you're paying your $497 a month license to HighLevel, slapping your logo and then just reselling it. You have to think, how am I going to provide amazing onboarding experience? Because that first initial bit is so crucial. If you don't get any wins and get customers really engaged in the first couple of weeks, then the churn is a real thing. But if you can build it and then have not just really good onboarding, managing the change in their business, because it is about change management. There's kind of like stuff that I didn't know when I started. Like, it's just like, it's awesome software. I'm so excited. Please, Mr. Customer, buy it. It's going to do all this cool stuff. And you do it. But then that's my world, but that's not their world. Like they've got their business. Maybe they're running a plumbing business. They've got jobs to deal with, staff to manage. So this is an afterthought for them after a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to highlight, like, you are in the business of adoption. Like, adoption is the name of the game. If you can adopt clients more and more to a point where they're actually using it themselves, or, I mean, there are some industries that, like, it's just not feasible for them to even force them to log in. And it's more about you just providing a system that does stuff for them, and they just get an email about something that happened that is providing value to the business. That might all be that needs to happen, and it works.
Absolutely. So, yeah, a couple of things to add there. So I was thinking as you're talking, I can't think of another business where you can have fun, get paid, and learn so much about so many different industries at the same time at a director and ownership relationship level, which walks to what you were saying. And then you made me think of two other partnerships. In your business, in your SaaS business, you want your core clients, they go onto your agency. There's affiliate level. So if they're already on their own version, or you're doing some kind of work with them, or you can get them onto affiliate and help them. And then we've actually built out entire agencies now for other people, similar to what you're talking about. And then helping them with fulfillment in terms of onboarding or building out their individual custom stuff. So we've done quite a lot of stuff like that now. And there's two that stood out. They both started as clients for us. One of them is a guy that sells wills, LPAs, which is lasting power of attorneys, estate planning, and life insurance. Yeah, so everything around dying without getting taxed, essentially. Looking after your onward journey for your children and your children's children.
Passing on the estate and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, built a great relationship with this guy, built his account out, ended up working on it, developing it over 8-9 months because he was evolving his business. And he said, can we sell this to other people? Absolutely. Absolutely, Paul. Yes, we can. And then I sit on a board of directors and I basically have influence over about 180 people exactly the same as me. Can we sell this to them? I was like, we can, Paul, and you can get paid from it. And we're now onboarding. So we put that together. It took a while. We're on to 4th or 5th client with him now. and he gets some of our upfront fee, and he gets money monthly forever.
So is that your white label that you just set up an affiliate and then he's promoting your version, or
He just introduced them to us. We've got a contractual agreement and a gentleman's handshake at the same time. I do everything. Essentially, just it's a referral, isn't it? That he gets a share of the pie. And there's another lady, Jodie. She owns an Airbnb, so they manage Airbnb and properties for Booking.com. They take the profit of the landlord. Landlord doesn't worry about it. They rent it out by the night. Everyone makes money. That's a hard business. I've learned that business. That is a hard business, very cash hungry. She introduced me to a friend, brought her on board. Then she launched Airbnb Consultant. And she said, "Oh, can we do a deal?" "Sure we can, Jodie." So we've now created a deal. Jodie's given us 5 clients so far. She's about to do a webinar next week. I'll speak to
When you say 5 clients, are these like other people who have their property and they're trying to figure out how to make money with their property through Airbnb, and she's consulting them on it?
So they don't own a property. It's a consultant who goes and finds landlords and takes their property off them. So Jodie manages like 50 properties. Bex, the first person she introduced us to, manages about 15 properties, growing into 20. She's now doing essentially, for what it is, it's a high ticket program, how to run this business. I'm doing X amount per year. And she's now taking on students. Now, part of her high ticket offer is the CRM through us as a partner. I don't have to do anything. She just phones me and says, "I've got another person," puts the money in the bank, puts me into a WhatsApp group, and we just set up for them. Now, we have our snapshot, but it's a combination. We have as I call it, the framework snapshot, and then we customize for the client. So after the work's done, we get paid a bit less. She gets her commission. Win-win, right? Everybody in the triangle's winning because we're selling it to her clients for about 60% of what we charged her. She's still getting a commission. Everyone's winning. So she's introduced, I think, 5. She's doing a webinar on the coming week, and she's got 50 registries. She's good. She's going to sell 20 or 30 people. She's going to come to me and say, "I need 30 CRMs." So you might have these clients down here. And do you know what? Actually, building those 2, because they were probably the first 2 in the Airbnb, Booking.com niche and the estate planning, LPA, wills, etc. niche, they were quite hard for us. We put a lot of time and effort in. I think most people would have given up before we didn't give up, right? But most people would have gone, "Oh, this is too hard, man." But
no, it's an amazing experience to learn something very specific.
Yeah, we saw that vision. If I keep putting time into these guys, I can create a partnership. And we're now stacking those partnerships, right? So we've got Ryan, we've got Jodie, we've got Paul. And
you've got a recipe.
Yeah, we've got more behind us. So they're bringing us clients. Their clients are happy. They're getting massive value. Win-win, right? You get that winning triangle, then you can accelerate what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've shared this model on numerous times on this podcast myself. It's a model that I've got as one of my lead gen channels, is to work with a coach in a specific industry.
Yeah.
The coach is there to move somebody from point A to B. He's a business coach in a particular industry. But at the end of the day, the clients of his, they also need the fulfillment. Coaches don't do that. Coaches typically coach. They provide strategy. They provide resource.
Yes.
So you just need to think about a coach in a particular industry that you don't really need to know about the industry. You just need to build a relationship with that coach. And by the way, going back to what we said at the beginning, where do you meet them? Go to networking events. Very straightforward. Buy them a drink or something.
Yeah.
And they already have the audience. And if you do a deal that is financial, makes sense with the CRM, it's great. I know a coach that was on the podcast couple of weeks back, James Kemp. He'd done a really amazing deal with Taki Moore a while back. Taki Moore is he's a millionaire coach for other coaches. He's amazing.
I'm aware of him.
And then James he's amazing at what he does. And back then he was with HighLevel and he put together a deal with him and it worked. So think about it from perspective of cost of acquisition, right? If you got to generate your own leads, if you got to spin up your own marketing, running ads, and you might get a certain amount of leads, and now it's maybe costing you a couple $100 to actually turn that 100 leads into actual real 20 customers. If you break it down, might be even $1,000 acquisition. you do a deal with a coach. Maybe you have to discount it a little bit just to make it more special. But if you compare that to an outlet to generate your own leads, the math is there. It speaks for itself.
Absolutely. I feel it's worth sharing my journey now relating to what you're saying as well. So had my recruitment company for 23 years and we did really well. We grew it to about 3 million business.
Like an HR recruitment.
It was a specialist in the care sector. Yeah, so I started with my mum and we supply temporary staff to care homes, nursing homes in the UK. And we built this custom software, started off as a £10,000 project, spent 1.5 million over 14 years on this software, and turned it into something that was the main IP, the intellectual property for our business. And it was a franchise. So we launched some franchises, sold them, everything was amazing. COVID got in the way, destroyed the sector. That sent me off to Dubai. I decided to do something different, launched a coaching business in Dubai, high profile clients up here, paying by the hour, small business startup here, group coaching. I was using HighLevel. They all had the same problem, bad or no software systems. Started implementing HighLevel for a friend's agency. Then the very first major event outside of the US was SaaSpreneur, and they'd done the first one in Dubai. It was down the road 20 minutes. So this is all part of that kind of meant to be. I went to SaaSpreneur, not knowing what to expect. I came out of that room an agency owner. Then a whisper, there's an event in Australia. It's going to happen soon. And it was like 4 weeks later, and it was this, and I was in Dubai, I was halfway there from the UK, right? And I was just, don't know anyone in Australia, just jumped on a plane.
Actually, you were right, yeah, because Dubai is a stopover. So from Dubai, it's a straight flight.
Yeah, absolutely. So flew over to Sydney, obviously met you there and some other really cool people. Done the Australian SaaS, came back. Then I flew back to London, done the SaaS in London, flew back to Dubai, then ended up moving back to the UK and then went to Texas. Beginning of those journeys, the reason I knew this was a good fit for us was because I've custom built that software, literally coded every line. Not me, but I'd had a team that done it and coded that system and that software. So when I discovered HighLevel, I saw it for what I knew it was going to be instantly. And when I actually building a HighLevel, there was no AR. So it just about to start coming. And actually, that sounds like ages, right? It's a really short period of time. It's a really short period of time, really probably a couple of years, maybe even a little bit less. All the AI has really exploded in HighLevel. But yeah, it's worth sharing that journey because sometimes people are here, wherever they're at in another business, a current business, they've got these ideas. And sometimes look at the people that are, quote, successful. And you think, man, and I was listening to Alex Hormozzi's book the other day and he was going, I was only doing 15 million a year, but this guy was doing 100 million. I was beating myself up. Most people would be like, most people will never do 15 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Close, right? But he was getting stuck in the what do other people think about me? And you can't do it.
In his example, though, there is a real reason for it. I didn't know about it until recently. I watched a YouTube video and talks about the backstory of Alex Hormozzi and his dad. And he was always trying to prove something to his dad.
Yeah.
That was his. So there's a bit of that psychology. I'm not saying that's everybody's like that, but that's his story.
Yeah. But I was just listening to some of his stuff. I got like an audio book and driving to event stuff. And and it was just interesting. It was just interesting that it doesn't matter where you are now. Doesn't matter if you just heard the word HighLevel this morning or go HighLevel. There's a whole story there about that name. But
hey, by the way, they finally got that domain after so many years. HighLevel.com, they snapped it.
I can't tell the story now, right? I asked one of the guys, I was like, what's that about? So they couldn't get the HighLevel.com domain. So they bought Go HighLevel, but the product's called HighLevel. And obviously it became known as Go HighLevel or GHL. I mean, that's never going to go away, right? So it's kind of stuck in cement.
GHL,
yeah. But yeah, that's the little story behind it. But yeah, I think really what I'm trying to say here is somebody's listening, they're thinking of getting into the HighLevel space somehow, then just do it. There is plenty of space around the world. It has grown massively even since I found out about it. Even just using it in your own business is amazing. And there is a world of people like Vit, people like myself, and a whole bunch of other really cool people that can help you on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting topic. Would a business go to a white label version of HighLevel?
Yeah.
as opposed to signing up directly.
Okay, so I'll move into sales mode.
Let's
So
go.
it's a question that I get every day, right? So my sales pitch there would be, let me tell you a little story. I've already done it on this, but I went around the world. I went to the event. I'm the only person that done it. Credibility. I show them my homepage to show them what we're going to do for them. I go, oh, there's my interview with HighLevel on the HighLevel Spotlight. Credibility. Oh, and by the way, when you join us, I show them the custom tab with the custom videos we've made, showing them the system. I show them the live Zooms that we do 3 times a week to train them. I show them the on-demand videos, the button that says we support you 24/7, not only on chat, but on live Zoom, anytime you want. And by the way, we've got a closed community inside of our CRM only for our clients. Every time somebody asks for a video, we make a custom video, but we share it in the whole community. You can go and get it direct from HighLevel, but you won't get that level of support. Why? Because we want to be number one support in the world. And if you can think of a way to be supported that we haven't given you, because I can't, tell me and we'll put it in place. So if you want that level of support, because this is not about just building you something and training you how to use it and then running off. This is about a long-term relationship. When I was
Here's some interesting.
rich out of sales like that, but that's
I love it. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Credibility, all that. There's also another angle to consider, which I haven't really thought of much until like recently, or definitely over the last year and a half, and that is the volume of information, the rate of innovation, and overwhelmed by information.
yes. Yeah.
If we're talking about us, nerds, high-levelers, agency owners, this is what we live and breathe every day. We hang out, we're all sharing the next best thing. And I know for a fact that a regular business owner would just get super overwhelmed. And that's one thing I've learned. It's like you can't sell the vehicle. You can't sell, hey, let me jump on a call and let's demo everything, every single feature. I've done that because I'm excited about all this stuff, but it just doesn't work. They get overwhelmed. Indecision happens, and that's it. So get this, right? So if you sign up directly with HighLevel, you're going to get bombarded with, that's what we do, right? I've got RSS feed directly into my Slack channel, and I get 3 to 4 updates from their developing team about a new feature or feature improvement, feature update. And if a regular business owner was just getting bombarded with that amount of information, they wouldn't know where to start, like what to consider, what not.
Yeah.
So I think that's just another, it just kind of came up to my mind like now as we're talking, just always thinking about different arguments for why go direct to HighLevel and why not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, put simply, I mean, the business model of HighLevel was designed for agencies to license and resell, or to license and use to fulfill on their services. That's always been the case. I know that now they are doing some direct marketing to businesses, which is an interesting play. But I still think that if you sign up directly through a reseller like myself or Calv or Sarah from Techmatics, there's so many of us that do this, and they have a good system in place to onboard your team and explain it in a way so you don't feel overwhelmed, and then support you on that journey, and then curate updates that, out of those 20, 30 updates that happen in a month, they might curate 5 that are really sort of important for you as a business owner.
Yep.
Then that's the value of doing it. That's the value, and that's why you would want to pay more. Because let's face it, typically resellers, we do charge more than what you pay directly for HighLevel. Like it's $97 a month. I charge $297 Australian for our base plan, for example.
Yeah.
But we charged it because, just like you've mentioned all those things, the open office hours, 24/7 courses, workshops, Zoom support, all those things are labor intensive. We got to charge for that so that we can make money, and it makes sense as a financial, like a business model.
Absolutely.
But it's for the benefit of everybody. Everybody wins that way.
Of course. Yeah, so a couple of things that's now popped into my minds. At Level Up, on stage in one sitting, they did 300 updates publicly released.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
good old level update. That's a special, they call it level update, guys. Yeah, that's a...
I mean, I was listening to them all and understanding them, but, when 10 had gone by, I was like, what was the other one? So in the back, labs, you get all the updates and stuff. So we're now at the point where we're growing and scaling, and we're now taking on a team now who is the development team. So actually, what do we need to offer to our clients? because you don't need to offer them everything. Like I said about, we have these real basic walkthrough, step-by-step training videos for the beginners who come onto our agency. And those videos are now out of date because they changed the layout on the contacts, for example. I don't know if you saw it, like yesterday, it might have been around for a while, I haven't seen it. They've just released a whole update on the opportunities, also known as pipelines and customer journey.
I haven't checked my Slack channel last 2 days, so I don't know.
So there's a whole forecasting in there. You can see who's won. There's a AI percentage of the likelihood of you winning based on how old they are, all this stuff. And it popped up, and I was like, this is cool. This is cool. But
that would be the one that I would be highlighting to my customers and making a proper video, inviting them to a webinar and educating them about actual...
Getting continual value to me. I don't charge them more.
Yeah.
We've had a number of people come to us and say, oh, we want to move to another agency. And the reason is they're restricting us from doing this. Like, for example, there was the other day and he said, oh, they won't let us use AI. They won't let us have AI conversational. They won't let us have AI voice agents. I was like, why? Why would they do that? And he said, they said they don't understand it. And I was like,
oh,
that's their...
I was expecting a different argument. I was thinking maybe it's available on their higher plan. Wow.
No, they just cut it out. But something I was going to mention earlier, when we first started marketing, we didn't try and white label 100%. I just went out there and said, we've got this amazing system. I didn't necessarily say it was high level, but I wasn't trying to hide behind it that it wasn't. Just kind of didn't outwardly say. Bit of advice, as soon as I did say, yeah, we're an agency, we're white label, and we're under a high, my business went through the roof because it's so well known now. So the way I explain it to people is I say, if you think of a Microsoft partner or a Zero Accounts partner, we're the same as that, but for high level. And they go, oh, I understand what you talk, because you're talking other language that makes sense. And literally, because we're now fully like, we're high level agency, the business just accelerated. So you can 100% white label, and some people do it internally to their clients for whatever reasons they choose to. But I would advise anybody, be kind of loud and proud that you're partner of this business that's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'm literally going through that exercise like this week. I've got my my Victor AI tasked on that project and to redevelop our website and reposition our marketing to leverage the brand of HighLevel and position ourselves and educate through clever marketing how it positions us as an added value. Because just like you said, it just makes a lot of sense. It does not make sense. It made a lot of sense, let's say 4 years ago, because HighLevel wasn't known. Definitely made more sense to, because then that would just create like another, like you have to explain what HighLevel is. But you're right, like a lot of businesses now, they go sometimes direct, or they definitely know about it. We had somebody changing our airco unit or installing a new aircon unit at our old house in Canberra. And then as they were leaving, I was like, hey, by the way, I've got this business and all that. And then the lady just said, oh, is that like a HighLevel? I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah, we just signed up. We're just trying to get our, she said, we're just trying to get our head wrapped around it, which is what I was alluding to earlier. Like it's the adoption. Again, adoption is the name of the game, guys. If you can have a system that helps them adopt it better than the HighLevel team can, and then let's face it, they're in the business of development. We're in the business of providing results. There was something else I was going to say. I forgot what it was. We're getting into some good stuff, though. That's for sure.
It's good. It's good. So, we found that picking those core features, understanding what people need fundamentally as a baseline, when you haven't niched in on an industry. So, for me, at Christmas, we were doing all these different industries. We were like, maybe it's time to create some niches here. And we hit photography, more like established photography studios rather than an individual photographer. The Airbnb, funnily enough, and the insurance. I called it the insurance, but it's the guy that I explained earlier, the wills and estate planning.
All that. Mm-hmm.
So went into the video studio, recorded a whole load of content, this like custom podcast around these 3 different niches, and created free offers, ran my ads on those free offers, and my leads dropped off a cliff. And I was like, oh yeah, really surprising. I've done like some real nice professional video, all this stuff. And I was like, that's weird. Run it for 2 weeks, spent a bunch of money, switched them off, switched my old ad style back on, which is 2 businesses and then niche that into small and growing businesses. Rather than a specific business type, it's actually a product for this business that's in this position in their journey, and just boom, just hit our niche. So rather than
positioning a solution or a common problem across industries, there's some very common mechanics that
and we're doing everything from mortgage to, we've got yoga studio, we've got gyms, we've got somebody who does PPF, paint protective film, like wraps them with clear film for Porsches, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, that type of thing. So
there's some good money in that. That's a very interesting business model, actually. I didn't know until I spoke to a mate who runs that business. You do a wrap for 5K and you can get it wrapped. You can wrap a car in a day. I was mind blown.
Yeah. But it's so diverse. It's so diverse what can be done. And to come back to what I was saying earlier, it's just so interesting just seeing these different people, different warps of life and different styles. And you know, 5 people running the same business. And they're doing it in 5 different ways as well. The net result is the same. They supply X product or Y service. But it's crazy. It's good. It's definitely enough to keep you on your toes and keep you interested.
Yep, 100%. Yep. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting, the world we live in and what we can create for other businesses and what lifestyle this can create for us. There was one thing I was going to follow up on in terms of creating your own resources and supporting your customers.
Yes.
Because you were alluding to the fact that like how quickly HighLevel innovates and changes things. So you might create a resource, a how-to video that becomes obsolete after a couple of months because the UI or the interface, the visual interface is changed.
Yeah.
So what I did, instead of trying to create every single, special thing like help articles, a knowledge base, I still want it to be branded and everything. But I very quickly realized that there's no way I want to be in that business of managing my own knowledge base and updating articles.
Yep.
So we went with HL Pro Tools. And it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
And I actually got a nice surprise the other day where we now not just have hundreds of articles that are always up to date, but there's also these mini courses that they just launched. But there's these cooler like mini courses, like step-by-step guides. They're not often videos. They're more just step 1, and it's a short paragraph. And like where to click, where to go, and a little screenshot. Then you go step 2, and you go, it's, what do you call it, like a walking guide or tutorial guide or something. So we have our own courses inside our community, which is me on the camera talking strategy and all that. And sometimes we create little quizzes at the end of each lesson so that the learner validates their knowledge. And then when they finish the whole course, the system issues them a certificate. So those are really good, but when I make those, they're like, I'm not going to make them about a feature. It's going to be something that's going to be timeless. But this one's just a nice surprise. So it's just highlighting that if you are listening and you are in the business of SaaS, like white label version of HighLevel and selling that to your customers, again, adoption is the name of the game. Think about where you want to spend your time and whether you want to spend time on creating all these resources, because it might be cheaper, actually, just to partner up with. There's many different amazing vendors. HL Pro Tools is one of them. They're sponsor of this podcast, so they deserve a shout as well. And I love their product, being a customer for years. But, definitely do your research and then it'll just give you leverage. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Dakota's company does, which is HighLevel agency support.
That's right. Yes.
One, and Extendly is another one that's well known. And so there's some more, but it's definitely does what it says on the tin, supports your agency so you can be where you want to be. I like being in the sales area of the business and being the front man and positioning myself in that position and speaking to these clients, like we said, learning about these businesses and problem solving very fast. It's a really good place to be.
Yeah, because what that then creates for you is it gives you space to focus on the marketing side of things, on the sales side of things, and whether it's running paid ads to lead funnels, offers, all that, or going in person, doing networking, which is what we covered at the beginning of this podcast. It's a no-brainer, tremendous value. And if you can put yourself into that spot, then that's the spot you want to be because you want to grow. And money is then what you can utilize to get somebody else to fulfill for you. It's just been reiterated on this podcast so many times. There's so many amazing people. And so if you're listening to this and like, I mean, we're, I think, close to episode 100, and I've had a lot of guests and a lot of people who are platinum and diamond and doing amazing things. So there's validation in this argument. And like you said, I think at the beginning, like sometimes you don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Just follow the path that's been walked through already, and just add your own unique part to it. Yeah.
Your own unique sort of twist on it. And that really leans into what we're talking about, these updates from the upgrades, right? Is the fundamentals of our business will never change, right? We make some noise, we have some conversations, we make some sales, we fulfill those sales with whatever we do. We get some reviews, hopefully. We get them to tell their friends, and we do a bit more marketing, and we go around the cycle again. So you deliver that in whatever way you deliver it, right? That will never change. HighLevel offers you all of that from the top to the bottom in your own business, or if you're running HighLevel as a business, your own agency. And for me, probably the best way to explain this is I have an iPhone 15 Pro. We're probably close to iPhone 20 by the time we finish the podcast, right? Well, I think we're actually on 17 or 18, right? But every 6 months, new one comes out. I got past years ago needing that brand new, that most recent thing. Now, I'm not saying don't innovate and adapt, but once you create your niche, if it works for the people you're serving, serve them small updates that serve them. They may not need AI Studio. They may never use that. It's just recently been paired, AI Studio, and seen some of these cool videos that HighLevel themselves are putting out, right, that they built in their own studio. Most businesses probably don't need that. Or they just go, that's cool, but I just pay marketing agency to do my content. So it's about picking what works, adding what you think adds value or what is maybe needed, and then running with it and not...
And create cash flow.
There's a guy that I was speaking to the other day, and he was like, oh, I'm doing this, and I've got my HighLevel, I've attached Claude, and I've built an MCP server, and they're talking to each other. And I'd spoke to him 2 months before on a Zoom. I was like, cool. He didn't have any clients the first time I spoke to him. I was like, cool. You've been doing all of that for 2 months? Like, yeah, cool. How many clients have you got? I haven't got any. I was like, okay. So you're doing some cool stuff. You're doing more than we do, but I've gained X amount of clients since we last spoke. And that's not a flex. That's me saying, change your priorities and your process. You're building the tech for something that you think might happen. You haven't got the clients to prove it to you. And when we built the custom software in my recruitment company, I estimate of our 1.5 million spend, I wasted about 400,000 in things that I thought were cool or things that I thought people wanted. And I took it to market, that software. We built it for our own business, and we tried to take it to market, and we were just before the software boom, bizarrely. We didn't do very well. And I was like, oh, it does this and this. And then someday, it was like a gridded shifts for these care workers. Somebody went, can you add the name of the day in the grid? As in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It had start of shift time, start day, end of shift time, end day. Done all this technical like calculations around pay. I'd missed out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the columns. And I took it to market, right? Because I was getting all excited. That sounds crazy when you say that. We went away, and I was like, within a week, it was in there because we had it coded and we added it. But that was that market research. I took it to market too early, probably. And you've got to know what you're offering. You've got to not get too involved in the tech as such with 50 features. Pick 5 and then run with that and get some clients and let them tell you what they need. And you'll have an amazing... And that is HighLevel 101. Right? They only now develop off of community feedback, basically. I mean, they're doing their own thing, right? But you know what I mean is they have this huge list, God knows how big that list is, probably like 1 million ideas. And they go, this is what the community wants, or this feature is what they want us to develop. So they're basically the Lego of the software business world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So Lego is a timeless toy because Spider-Man comes out, Marvel comes out, they make a new Grand Theft Auto game, right? Whatever it is, Lego will just partner with them, can't lose. It's a toy that can never be beaten, and it's the equivalent of the business world, is what HighLevel is. But you just pick up the blocks you need, build your thing, and go with it.
Go with it. I think, yeah, because it's important. You got to create cash flow. If you just keep building in the background and then go to market, and look, I'm kind of like that as well, right? I'm very much a perfectionist. I like to develop stuff. I've done certain things that, looking back, just stupid. I think everybody's got to go through their own journey, and there's reasons why we're wired that way. We have that need to perfect certain thing before it goes out. Strangely, certain things that I didn't done that way actually really paid off well, like the snapshot stuff. But it could have been a total flop as well. So it's just too risky. It's better to do it in, I think, the most leanest I've heard, and especially for beginners, is the student approach. Just get $97 plan on HighLevel, which gives you, I think, I've been told 3 sub-accounts.
Sub-accounts, yeah.
And just in your local town, allocate one day and just door knock to businesses, offer them to buy them a coffee or try and invite them for lunch or something to get them to sit down with you for 30 minutes, for an hour, just to have a conversation with that business owner in that particular trade and figure out what are the problems that they are facing. And if you dedicate yourself to learn the product, this is where getting a high-level certified admin, I think it's probably a really good investment to start up with one of those really valued ones on return. Even from lead gen perspective, actually, I think it was you or somebody else told me, since they've got certified on the certified admin marketplace, they're actually getting leads. So the student approach is just pick one business owner. Less is more with this type of approach. Just pick one, and it could be somebody in a family, even better, because then you got even more rapport and stronger relationship, because the feedback loop with that approach is critical. If you don't create that feedback loop, it doesn't work. But if you can create a bit of a friendship with somebody who is like really willing to help you and they get benefit in return, that's a very lean model. You don't ask for any money. They don't pay you anything. You purely use it to build a case study.
Yes. Yeah. There was an agency, we built their agency out for them recently, and they'd fired on their own, run into trouble, had a different business, which was a subscription-based business that already has 3,500 clients that they can sell HighLevel to. They're already there. It's a different business, but it's related to what this particular person does. I saw them actually in a Facebook group asking a question. It wasn't the official HighLevel community. It's another one. I said, oh, by the way, we're a HighLevel expert. This is how you do that. Inbox me if you need more. Person inboxed me, ended up, I think they spent £4,000 with us. It's because it's given that free value first. They came in, built their agency, done some kind of support for a couple of months, and they're off on their own. 5-star review, which helps us. And now in that same group, the minute somebody mentions or breathes HighLevel, or there's a particular kind of community around a white label version of it, everyone just tags me. They're just like, I'll speak to this guy. Because she told somebody who told somebody.
You've built a bit of notoriety.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I never actually thought of the brand HighLevel. Actually, even if you go to somewhere and they have never heard of HighLevel as a CRM, as a software platform, just by saying I'm a HighLevel expert, it's what the hell? That sounds a bit douche, but also intriguing. Like, why would you call yourself that? So you might just naturally create interest just in that pitch in itself.
I think it's okay it's okay to shout about yourself without having arrogance. It's okay to say, I consider myself an expert enough because I've helped X amount of businesses.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're all performing and making a bunch more money than when they started. So do I consider myself an expert? Yes, because of that reason. But we also started with one sub-account, right? At the beginning.
Kelv, we've done it. We're at the end of the episode. I think this is a value-packed episode. We've gone through Jesus. I'm going to get it summarized later. We'll go through that, but let's see. So we dove deep into the power of referral marketing in networking, in-person events, different tactics for in-person events to generate leads, layer in affiliate. We talked about the power of referral partnerships and getting real creative with some real examples. I hope you guys have been taking notes, because if you've just stumbled upon this podcast just now, or maybe you're a regular listener and you just keep listening to these episodes because you like them, I think less is more sometimes. Just even if you just say, okay, I'm gonna unpack this whole episode, what I've listened. I'm gonna get the transcript. By the way, you can get transcripts if you go on the back end on the website and just apply it. I think that's the big. I think maybe we just finish on that as a final piece of advice for everybody is make sure that, because this is an hour that you've just, I don't want to say wasted because it wasn't a waste, but it wasn't a waste. It would be a waste if you don't action anything that you've listened.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Invested in, right? So,
Yeah.
and more of that to say is grab the transcript from our conversation, put it into your favorite GPT or Claude and say, here's a transcript of guys talking about XYZ. This is what I want to implement in my business. Ask me 10 questions and give me a business plan. And you business plan 101. It's already done for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And then if you have actioned something, I would love to hear it from you guys. On our website, we have a couple of different ways you can engage. I haven't been talking about it recently. I just kind of got bored, I guess. Just kind of reiterate, but I got to do a better job at it. But we have a section on our website where you can literally upload your success story, something that you've done that worked really well in your agency and you just want to share it. You can. If you just head over to highlevelexperience.com/yours, we have a page dedicated to that, and you just record a short little video or audio, short little format, and we'll include it in one of the next episodes. So you get a shout out for your agency as well. Just your name, who you helped, or what strategy you've implemented on the back of this podcast. Something valuable is always welcome on this episode. Remember, this is a community-based podcast. I am on this podcast a lot of times interviewing people who are my competitors. We talked about it at the beginning. It's a very friendly community. We all help each other. You guys are listening, but just get involved. That's one area I would definitely like to improve on this podcast because I don't often know who's listening. And there is something that's brewing, by the way. There's something that's brewing, something that I spoke to Lawrence from VA Hub Pro, one of our sponsors, earlier this year as well, about doing something like a weekly call or something where we can all jump on. If this, I think it would be a value. I mean, for me, anytime I've been doing something like that or attending these Zoom calls with other high levelers has always been valuable. So I know it's a valuable thing. And then me and Kalvin, we talked about it the other week as well, thinking about the idea of doing something for Europe. So if you're listening from Europe, keep your ears sharp. There might be something happening on that front as well. That's it for me. But Kalv, did you want to say anything just to wrap up the show? Any last piece of advice for the listeners?
just a couple of things. So that European meetup idea is a high-level meetup. So that's what the carrot is there. So yeah, I'd just like to say my name's Kalvin Morris. It's spelled Kalvin. My company is called Obsessed to Success. If you want to check me out, you'll find me easily enough online in various places. Stronger social medias are Facebook, it's Kalvin John Morris. Instagram is Calvofficial. And LinkedIn is my name, Kalvin Morris, and you'll find me if you search for Obsessed to Success. Happy to help people, happy to give advice, happy to collaborate, and everything else in between. It'd be awesome to hear from some of you and understand your journey. And look, if we've had some influence, maybe giving you that fire in your belly to go and take that next step and do something, we'd love to hear that too. And amazing to speak to you again. I know we had some awesome talks when we were in Australia, and now you're a little bit closer to home, to my home anyway, because I was in Dubai at the time, and we'd both shifted back to Czech and back to UK. Excited to do some more work with you, and everyone that's listening, appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kalv. I'm looking forward to do more stuff and see what we can come up with. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much again for listening to today's episode on the HighLevel Experience. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please do me a favor, share with other fellow agency mates and high levelers that you think would benefit from listening. This podcast grows because of you, because of the community, and because of you guys sharing it to others that would benefit. So it really mean a lot to me. If you could do that, if you could head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, maybe like some videos that you've watched before, it would mean a world to me. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS of high level, please go to highlevelexperience.com. We've got a ton of episodes. There are a lot of them are still very relevant, a lot of great strategies. Dive into that. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.